Hi everybody, and thank you for joining our presentation on urban living and landscaping in New Jersey. My name is Shannon, and these are some photos of where we go to school and live in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Frequently, we see landscaping as depicted by this aerial view of Livingston campus at Rutgers, and almost dead center, there is a concrete circle with a bunch of splits coming from it. And this is a fountain that's not used for irrigation, and is a waste of water when water is splashing off and it just pours onto the ground. The pathways are also fragmenting the area, but the aesthetics of the landscape are improved by various trees and shrubs, some of which can even stay green all year long. However, most of these plants are non-native and non-edible and serve no purpose other than aesthetics. Next is a solar panel field, which is also located on Livingston campus and is being used to generate energy for the dorm rooms, offices, and classrooms here. A possibility for these solar panels could even be growing edible crops in between the rows. Now there is a picture of the College Avenue campus, and here we see a tree that is being grown in the middle of the sidewalk where there's no grass for this tree to be in, and it looks like it's having a pretty tough time surviving, nevertheless growing any bigger. And since it is an urban area, we do have to learn how to grow things in a tighter space while still having access. But as for aesthetics go, this tree is providing very little for the scenery. Now we are looking at a picture of the Douglas campus. It's an open field that overlooks one of the main highways that takes you into New Brunswick. Currently, it is only being used to grow grass. You can even see the mowing lines, which show you that someone is tending to it, but none of the animals are being fed from this pasture, and it's quite uncertain where the grass clippings end up. This next picture is of a parking lot, since we have a high demand for transportation, and there are many commuters at Rutgers, and we therefore have a highly fragmented area and high traffic areas here, both of pedestrians and cars. Since there is very little green space, one of our solutions is putting trees and shrubs in concrete structures like this one, surrounded with mulch to beautify the area, but it also works as a good landmark for where you park your car. Finally, we use landscape trees and shrubs to try and cover up generators and other metal structures that we don't necessarily think are too attractive to the landscape. And now, even when you're driving down the road, some cell phone towers are made to look like huge trees, although it's obvious and they look out of place.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and this is my backyard. Early June, I have been working to update and enhance the greenness of this space and its profitability and productivity. This is my garden. It's a 500 square foot raised bed. I installed this in late June. It has an array of vegetables and herbs and other ornamental plants. Right now it's in a slight state of disrepair because of the change of season, but it's intended to service its owners year-round with whatever crops they choose to plant whenever they want. These are our newest additions. They are 2 cold frames. They will be installed for the purpose of growing again year-round, mostly low plants, cold hardy plants, and plants that would serve the purpose of providing supplemental meals, not generally larger things if you think of like corn and tomatoes, but more like spinach, lettuces, radishes, etc. These are our 2 cold frames that we're building right now. We will build 2 more of similar size at the far end of the property. All of the cold frames will be located and oriented such that they receive the maximum amount of sunlight daily. They will be built using wood and natural materials only. There are 2 beds aside from the larger bed. There's a smaller herb garden in the corner that's shade tolerant or primarily shade. This has an array of herbs that were once located in the main bed, but were transferred due to space requirements. And in addition to our garden beds, we also have 3 fruiting trees, which have not produced this year, but with the help of pruning and maintenance, they may produce next year. We have an apple tree in the corner, a cherry tree, and unfortunately, because of the invasive Atlantis, a dilapidated and dying pear tree. Hopefully we can trim the Atlantis to allow the pear tree to expand and to gather more sunlight for the full frame. Here, me and my friend Stan Greenblatt spent an afternoon using refuse wood from a garage down the street that we found. We repurposed the wood and we laid it out in a small square about 11 feet by 7 feet. And right now, in a row format, that of which grew, we have radishes, 3 varieties of lettuce, spinach, and cookies. The lettuce of which is very firm and delicious. And this was, it was great actually. No, it's really good. This bed was entirely free, aside from the seeds, which were, I think, a grand total of maybe $5. The soil and the wood chips was procured from a compost and wood chip pile that's provided by the city of New Brunswick. It's located in Bucolic Park. And we took 3 car rides there with garbage cans full of wood chips and soil, brought them back and laid them down and tilled the soil until we found it to be adequate for our purposes, and then let nature do the rest.
Really fun.
So this was a $10 investment that can probably grow, I don't know, $50, $80 worth of food every season for the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, if kept up to date. It's expandable. The design is modular, so the sides can be moved, they can be reoriented, can be expanded laterally, vertically if necessary. And there's plenty of sunlight in this area is decent. It's not the best, but it's very good. And as you can see, it's very effective in doing what it needs to do.
Hi, my name's Kim Dalton. We're currently standing at the Student Sustainable Farm in Rutgers. It's about 2 miles away from New Brunswick. It's a CSA where members of the community of New Brunswick or other close towns like Milltown or East Brunswick can join our farm and be able to pick up fresh produce every week throughout the season during the spring, summer, and fall. It's a great way to get the community of an urban living situation together to get fresh vegetables, and because they don't have the capability to grow at their homes, they're either in apartments or in very small yards, so it's hard for them to grow enough fresh vegetables for their family. So that's why we're here, is to grow vegetables for them. We also have compost facilities so that they could drop off their own compost, and so we can also compost, which makes our farm a little bit more sustainable. Our farm is about 5 acres, and we support about 150 members during the season. Throughout the summer, we do a spring and fall share as well, but usually we do a little less, like about 50 members, because since all it is students working here, in between classes and stuff, we don't have time for 150 people. 50 people is like our limit. But right behind us is a nice cover crop. As you can see, it's a little late in the season, and we use the cover crop to fix nutrients in the soil fix the nitrogen, make it a healthier soil for the next season. This makes practices more sustainable because we don't have to pay for any nitrogen fertilizers or any synthetic fertilizers. And so this was onions previously. That's what was grown here. They were harvested early in the summer and given out, so we got this early on. We also had tomatoes over here. We use a plastic mulch because it suppresses weeds, so then we don't have to use herbicides. Plastic isn't the most sustainable, but it's pretty affordable and it does the best job of killing the weeds, and it also makes it really easy for us to apply trickle tape, which is the most water conserving type of irrigation to use when you're farming. It's also the most expensive, but I guess through the funding we have with the school, we can actually afford it. We also had peppers and eggplants, beets, carrots, lettuces, mixed greens, spinach, turnips. I don't know if this just said that, but turnips. We had potatoes right over there. We actually just got around to cover cropping that. We also had all the different brassicas like broccoli and kale and cabbage. We had different beans, and we were able to replant those throughout the season, giving people a constant supply of beans. We also have brambles in the back, so they don't usually get that many fruits, but at least once in the season we'll get them enough raspberries for everyone. And we also have strawberries planted. We also had different melons, watermelons, cantaloupe, and honeydew. And we also have an herb garden, which has a nice supply of different herbs like basil and parsley and thyme. And we have high tunnels that we can grow throughout the year in. During the winter, we're actually going to grow for the students that work on the farm. We don't really have enough space in them to grow for like the community. Now we are in the shareholder shed. This is where the shareholders come and pick up their produce every week. They get to interact with us, the farmers, and they also get to interact with other members of the community, other members of the farm. This is a list of what they got. This was actually the last week of the share. One bunch of kale, a basket of carrots, radishes, and turnips, a basket of small turnips, and different herbs, and the sage. I think the herbs included parsley, thyme, and oregano. And then these are some of our carrots from this week. But yeah, a CSA is a great way for members of an urban community to get together and to actually get to know a farm, because that's something that most urban communities don't have room for anymore, is a farm. Like, most areas used to be small communities with farms, so people would always buy from the farm, and this is a great experience for people to go directly to the farm. Our CSA is a little different because since it's through Rutgers and since there's other projects here that include pesticides and whatnot, we actually can't have members of the CSA come out to the field and do work with us, but most CSAs have it so that the members can come out and do work and actually get to experience the different farming techniques and harvesting, and they get to help the farmer. A lot of people join CSAs so that they don't have to deal with any of the farming, but they can still get the fresh vegetables and be a part of this community organization. But it's also great when you see them actually contributing to the farm.